Hey, Olympia. Today, we're talking about the February 25th, 2025 Olympia City Council meeting, and it was all things Parks and Recs. In fact, we kind of dressed for the part in our Parks and Recs. It's our homage, and it's getting a little hot, so I'm not sure how. By the end of this thing, I'm not sure I'll be in it, but there you go. So,
this is Council in 10.
For the record, I'm Kelly Purse-Brassett.
And I'm Susan Grisham. Okay, so we started that meeting with roll call. Councilmember Cooper was excused. There were no announcements. The agenda was approved, and there was no special recognition. So we were kind of easily and breezily moved right along into public comments.
All right.
So we had one public commenter.
One public commenter, no one online.
Yeah.
So. And this community member wanted to talk to council about neighborhood matching grants and the timing of the grant deadline. They have a spring project, and our current deadline forces projects to be done in the fall. So the community member asked council to consider adjustments to the grant schedule, and the city manager said he's going to talk to CPED.
That's right.
Staff. Because we know we can do some flexibility because we are Olympia. Mm-hmm. All right. And then we went into consent calendar, and there were two pools. The first pool was a resolution approving a 12-year multifamily tax exemption agreement with 505 Union Avenue LLC. And Jacinda Stelchicks, our affordable housing program manager, talked to council about it. And these 12-year multifamily tax exemptions in Olympia must provide 100% affordable housing. So for a developer to get this tax exemption and 12-year exemption from their tax, they have to create affordable units, and 100% of them have to be. So this project called the Gibson on Union Avenue will provide 64 units, and this is one of our first adaptive reuse projects using the 12-year multifamily tax exemption, and it is going to repurpose that office space, that office building, into residential space. So it's pretty cool because we need housing and we need affordable housing. So and we need it downtown.
Indeed.
And then the other pool was 4C, which was the Land Use and Environment Committee's work plan for 2025. And Councilmember Danny Madrone, who is the chair of Land Use, talked about some of the things that council would be approving on the work plan. Notable, the committee is moving their meetings to the fourth Thursday to accommodate council, the current makeup of the Land Use Committee's schedule. And then some highlights, they're going to be digging into zoning codes for doggy daycares.
Very important.
That's very important. We're hearing from the community that we need those, and it's hard to get one in Olympia because of our codes. Then there's drive-throughs, and then they noted that they've been hearing from the community about the archaic codes we have related to racing pigeons.
Yes.
And it turns out it was just an Easter egg they put in their work plan to see if the rest of the council was actually reading it. So that was kind of fun. It's an evening of Easter eggs.
And there was some fun repartee across the day.
There was some curiosity, and apparently it's actually true. We do have codes about racing pigeon, and they are archaic. As I thought, racing pigeons might be. I'm sorry if I offended the racing pigeon community right there. So.
Oh goodness.
Okay.
So then we moved on to the public hearing.
Yes.
Which was around a resolution adopting a revised version of fee structures for redacting body-worn camera footage requested under the Public Records Act.
Right. And Michael Fulmer, our deputy city clerk, was on deck to talk to council about it. And what happened is there was a public hearing on body-worn cameras. One of the questions from the community and from council was why we had an exemption for all nonprofits to pay the fee to redact the footage, which is very work intensive and expensive to get done. They tasked staff with doing some research around it, and they came back. This was them returning to council with that research. They found that actually exempting nonprofits did not add to the transparency for the community around it. It was super easy to become a nonprofit, so it also lends itself to abuse. For someone who doesn't want to pay, they can easily just go become a nonprofit and request a whole bunch of footage, and it's a huge workload for OPD staff to redact those stuff. So council understood that, and approved the exemption. Also, the nonprofits that are that would be exempt or would need that kind of exemption actually get exempted under other exemptions, like they serve people who have been victims of crime or something like that. So,
well, and they were happy to note that this saves the city $15,000 a year in staff time.
Yeah,
that's a really big savings.
That's huge. That's
really
huge.
Big deal.
Right. Then we went on to other business.
Well, we opened the public hearing.
Oh, we did open a public hearing. I know, because I was there. Yeah.
And no one spoke.
No one spoke.
And so then they moved on to passing the resolution.
Right. Absolutely. Good catch.
Yeah. And then we moved on to other business, which was also very parks heavy.
Yes.
So it's that time of year where they have to approve the Plinth Project sculptures for exhibition.
Yes.
So Arts Program Manager Stephanie Johnson and the Chair of our Arts Commission, Kathy Dorgan, presented the 18 sculptures for this year's Percival Plinth Project.
Right.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yep.
Which the program began in 2011, and we annually host sculpture that's loaned for exhibition on Percival Landing. And during July, the community gets to vote on these, and then each year the winning sculpture moves in front of City Hall for an additional year, and then it goes into the city's permanent collection.
Right, and those can be fun. They're always out on the corner.
Yeah, beautiful ones, thought-provoking ones.
We have a deep and abiding and interesting relationship with art in our community. So certainly, and I thought it was. Council had a really interesting conversation in response to the presentation. It involved things like MySpace and whether interdimensional portals might open.
So the things that art can do.
Art inspires.
It certainly does. And then, so they approved those unanimously, and then we moved on to the approval of a recommendation to transition the city's cultural events program to a sponsored approach. So our Culture and Belonging Manager, Olivia Salazar-Debro, and our Parks, Arts, and Recreation Director, Paul Simmons,
which we're not going to talk about.
We're not going to talk about yet. Shared an overview of the recommendation to transition how we manage our cultural events program.
Right.
So since 2021, the city has partnered with community organizations and leaders to co-host public events like Juneteenth, Black History Month, Asian American, Native, Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Month,
Indigenous
Hispanic
Peoples
Heritage
Day.
Month, Indigenous Peoples Day. So that partnership was kind of a unique model for the city, where we provide most of the event funding and in-kind contributions and city staff time and tools and resources, facilities, and recognition at City Council. And so, those cultural events add to our vibrancy and fostering community engagement and all sorts of things. But it was really a challenge in managing and supporting those events with the limited time and staff capacity,
resources, and especially with the recent budget, there was a loss of resource in the in parks that supported these events, and the communications office also supported these events as if they were city events, and we've lost a resource there. So it was unsustainable.
Yeah, and it just became evident that we just needed a new way to do this. So there was a proposal to shift from a partnership model to a sponsored event approach.
Right.
So under this approach, the city will provide financial support and planning resources for established cultural event partners, but will also be supporting their autonomy and independence in managing and executing their events. So this model will also allow the city to expand support for more cultural celebrations in the future.
Right. And so council approved that.
Yeah,
Yep.
they sure did.
And then we moved on to reports.
Yeah.
And I know, well, and the mayor talked about meeting with 3 cities where they talked about the legislative agenda and the governor's right-of-way initiatives, and about attending some Black History Month celebrations in the last month, and some other sort of arts related things. Again, arts. And then the city manager, and then they said goodbyes to Paul Simmons, who is leaving us.
Yeah, they shared their reflections, and Paul, as he moves on to another opportunity in Tacoma, we won't send any hate to Tacoma, but you're getting a good one.
You're getting a good one. Treat him well, or we'll come up there.
We're scrappy.
We're scrappy down here in Olympia. He's still ours.
And then we moved on to the city manager's report. He noted that staff right now are collecting a list of all the federal funding that we get. We thought that would be an easy thing to pull because based on grants, but we actually get a lot of funding through the state and pass-throughs. So we're putting together a list to understand what we receive just in case it goes away.
Right.
And then he also noted he'll be speaking with council members to update them on the status of the Worker Bill of Rights work. And he also shared his reflections regarding the service and leadership of Paul as he leaves our organization.
There was some love shared there. Yeah. We're going to miss that guy.
Yeah.
So.
And then the city council at 7:48 adjourned to an executive session to discuss a real estate matter. They were going to speak for up to 90 minutes, and the city attorney would be there, and then they would adjourn immediately following the executive session.
Right.
So with that,
they were over.
They were over. Boom.
There we go. We're done. All right. So, like I said, Parks, Arts, and Rec. It was sad saying goodbye to our friend and colleague, who is always just the kindest person in the room.
Just the most open-hearted
Paul Simmons
person, and also was a real driver in a lot of our early equity work,
right?
Especially with outreach in the community.
Right.
So
got it immediately from the heart. So
exactly. So.
There is. And so I'm just, as we say farewell to Paul, I'm just going to say, don't forget to treat yourself. So thank you for joining us. If you're watching us live, you can stay tuned for the full replay of the council meeting we just talked about. Like I said, lots of arts, lots of parks. Or you can watch it and any of our programming on demand on olytv3.com. And download the app, the Oli TV app, because it's really good.
It really, really is.
Yes.
And if you want to come watch a council meeting live and in person and hang out with us, we're here most Tuesdays at 6 p.m.
We'll save a seat for you. And with that,
we're adjourned.
Adjourned.
That was a little awkward, sorry.